Stop locking up our youths. I'm pissed off that we're celebrating this. The fact that South Africa has only now decided to stop incarcerating youths for cannabis possession and use. I'm ashamed that the court's ruling earlier this year left the kids in this country, the youths, so vulnerable, and I had no idea about it. My thoughts go out to any families that have had a youth incarcerated for cannabis possession or use. What is up, guys? Andy here, back at you with another video, and this week, as you can tell, I'm in a strange mood. On the one hand, I'm super happy. Kids aren't going to be incarcerated anymore. On the other hand, I'm just absolutely shocked that this was going on, and I was so blasé about it. I cannot imagine how in 2020 that people are still getting, kids are still getting arrested and actually put in children correctional facilities for cannabis use and possession. It is absolutely mind-blowing, and I hope that the reforms that they've put in place and the new legislation that's been passed will make amends for the families who've had to go through watching their child sit in a correctional facility for cannabis use and possession. So here are the facts of what happened. On Friday last week, there was a judgment handed down in the High Court. Basically, they had a bunch of ministers and all of this and departments, and they unanimously agreed that children shouldn't be incarcerated for cannabis possession, and they deemed that it was unconstitutional. And that is all part of the Drugs and Drug Trafficking Act, and now they've taken it and said that it's unconstitutional to put kids in prison for those crimes. This is actual legislation that has been passed down and is actually going to cause change in South Africa. For that, thank you to the government, but it still wasn't quick enough. The good news of all of this is that South Africa now can focus on the Children's Act and the Treatment and Prevention of Substance Abuse Act, and not look at kids with cannabis or any drugs as criminals, and rather give them rehabilitation and treatment for any substance abuse. This is something that's been happening across the world, and South Africa is finally catching up. Countries like Portugal, where they've changed the mindset from a war on drugs to helping, rehabilitating, and stop fighting this futile battle against cannabis and other substances. The war on drugs isn't working. I'm glad South Africa is following in these footsteps, and I think it's a good sign for our future in the industry and the future of cannabis. So guys, this is something to celebrate. Sorry for being so morose and melancholic about it. I was a bit shocked by the news, and I didn't really ever connect the dots that this was actually happening. And there's a whole bunch of news around it. Schools that have been unconstitutionally and unlawfully testing students, and police officers making the kids urinate into cups and taking in all this nonsense for cannabis use, and where the Children's Act says this information should be private and it's getting handed over to everyone under the sun. So, yeah, excuse the moroseness, but this is something to celebrate. South Africa's actually done something in the good of everything, and for that we can thank them. So guys, if you enjoy the content, please make sure to like and share and subscribe. And if you know anyone, any kids or families who have had a kid incarcerated in South Africa, maybe share this video to them. Let them know that there's been a new ruling and they may actually be able to get their sentences and their lockups adjusted. And then guys, any advice? I'm not a lawyer or anything, but yeah, this is just from my opinion. And hope you guys have a great week. Cheers.